Anyone, what are some stories you have wanted to tell people but haven't had the right AskReddit question to answer? My dad almost got snatched up by serial killer Bob Berdella. My dad missed the bus and was walking to school when Bob pulled up and asked if my dad wanted a ride. His dumbass was about to get in when he saw gay porno mags on the floor, so he no-ped out, thank God. When he saw the guy finally get caught on TV, he recognized it was him. My friend's uncle almost got swiped by Jeffrey Dahmer. He was telling me he was driving around and a guy said he was lost and he offered to drive him home. He had some of the best conversations with him and he was one of the nicest guys he met. Once he got back to his apartment, Jeffrey asked him to come inside and have a snack. He didn't want to initially, but he went in. He offered him a soda and when Jeffrey opened it, it didn't make the right sound of gas releasing. My friend's uncle said his wife was making dinner and Jeffrey said that's all right, shook his hand and thanked him for driving him home. He forgot about it and a year later he saw him on TV. Edit, just think about that, where he grabbed the soda from. Right above in the freezer was body parts and probably a dead guy in his bathtub. Holy shit. I listened to the Berdella series on last podcast on the left not too long ago. The murder episodes don't usually get to me, but I had a hard time getting through those. Your dad is beyond lucky. Years ago my family had 2 cats. Susie would terrorize Guy all day, every day. She'd stalk and attack him, and his whole life ended up consisting of hiding. We almost never saw him. So the vet put Susie on Prozac. Though it didn't seem to affect her, it came in handy when I ran out of Prozac one month and borrowed some of hers. A few months later, the vet put Guy on some sort of stimulant in hopes that it would prompt him to stand up for himself. Again, no noticeable effects. About a year later an envelope arrived in our mailbox addressed to Guy, our last name. Clearly assuming that Guy was a human, the letter, which was sent by a large legal firm, explained that the manufacturer of the medication Guy had been prescribed was the subject of a class action lawsuit due to price manipulation, and asked if Guy would like to join the suit. We replied in the affirmative, then forgot all about it. About another year later Guy received a check for around $150 for his legal victory. Mom used the money to buy him toys and treats. TLDR, my cat won a class action suit against a pharma company. I think this is my favorite story from this thread. I'm disappointed this is so far down in the thread, honestly one of the best stories I have read. I laughed out loud. My cats are freeloaders. About 4 years ago, when I was a senior in high school, I was hanging out with a close friend in a Chipotle. Well, he and I started having this really deep conversation about life, about parents, about friends, etc. He told me about how he didn't think his parents really cared about him, or that his friends didn't care either. He said that sometimes, the joking teasing with friends really got to him and hurt his feelings. I opened up to him about my mom's breast cancer. I didn't think anything of it, I had thought we were both just venting and having a deep heart-to-heart conversation. Fast forward about 2 or 3 weeks, a teacher my friends and I were pretty close with kept leaving the classroom randomly. She threw on a movie for us to watch during class and kept looking at some of us and writing stuff down. I didn't think much of it because hey, who doesn't like watching movies instead of learning? Edit, I forgot to mention that I later found out this teacher had a list of the students' names and was circling people that she knew were going to need counseling. That night I was at work, a friend texted me telling me she loved me and would be there for me if I needed it. I just said thank you because I thought she was talking about my mom's breast cancer or something. Well, not even 10 minutes later my friends are calling me and blowing up my phone. My friend didn't tell me what was going on but told me, "We're coming to get you." I was at work when my friends showed up and told me the friend I had a heart-to-heart with had killed himself. I wish I had understood that the conversation he and I had had was him trying to ask for help. I should have done something. I got into Reddit because of him. I miss you, Jay. Don't mean to be insensitive, but where does he teacher part fit into the story? Oh honey. You cannot blame yourself for this. You were young and fragile and going through some very traumatic stuff yourself. You never could have known. Being there for him in that moment may have been what got him through that next couple of weeks. At my high school orientation, the principal was giving a speech about road safety for pedestrians, and he said, and I quote, "In my time here, I've seen 3 kids hit by cars, and that's one too many." Reminds me of an eccentric boarding school head teacher who, whenever he was in front of the school for assembly in his purple robes, would say to quiet things down. Every single time I open my mouth an idiot starts talking. This did not quiet anyone down. Had a teacher at my high school randomly lecture kids about not drinking and driving. Few years later he would hit a family on their bicycles, dragging a 7-year-old for about 800 feet, killing him, and then took off. He was driving drunk and is still in prison. Edit: I went back to check the details and updated them to be correct. He's serving a 12-year sentence. He's tried appealing for a new trial since he had accepted a plea deal. It keeps getting denied and he'll be put in 2024. After he drove off, he came back to the scene after a while, and that's how they caught him. He really hated 2 of those kids. Plot twist, he ran over the first 2 kids. Are you sure it wasn't 1 kid hit by 3 cars? Is there some kind of organized car crime gang at your school? Wonder which one was his favorite of its one too many. I was chasing someone that stole from the bottle shop liquor store I was working at. She was probably about 16 years old. As I chased her, I was just about to catch her when she ran out into the road and got wiped out by a car. I kinda felt bad as I picked up the cans she dropped on the floor as she limped away. Ended up getting a phone call off the police asking if we had been robbed. I asked how he knew, and he said someone called up claiming they had ran over someone fleeing the store. Chasing thieves? Guess you have some kind of policy, 'cause as far as I see it, they can have it. I'm not about to risk anything chasing someone over a few bucks. I worked at a retail store that sells expensive yet trashy brands that were a kind of status symbol for certain people. I watched a young woman slip a hoodie into her purse, so I quietly called security and pointed her out. As soon as security arrived, she bolted out the door at full running speed. I missed my bus, she screamed as she ran outside and around the corner of the mall. Myself and security guard followed after her, and at first she had completely disappeared. When I finally did find her, she had slipped completely underneath a car. After getting up, she threw her purse on the ground and proceeded to strip down completely naked in broad daylight in the middle of this mall parking lot, to prove she wasn't stealing. Probably the first time I noticed prominent track marks. We never did find the sweatshirt. I figured losing all dignity and stripping down naked was punishment enough for a key holder who later walked out due to bad management. I work at Kohl's, and the only person that chases thieves or shoplifters is our LP guy, and that's if he's 100% sure they're shoplifting. Usually he has a few associates walking around the suspected shoplifter before catching them before they walk out. If they try to bolt, they won't get far, then the cops come and they're arrested. Otherwise, not even our store manager will do anything to stop a shoplifter. No matter how big or small. All we do is report it and let corporate handle it. Yeah, I chased another bloke at the same store and he broke one of the bottles and pushed it at my neck, ended up not being hurt, and he got sent down. Never chased anyone again. I mean, he instantly made everything worse for him if he got caught. Went from shoplifting to assault with a deadly weapon and possibly attempted manslaughter. But I'm no lawyer. My aunt's African gray parrot talked incessantly, but mostly used cuss words and phrases her first husband taught it. She'd say something to it like, "How's Mr. Peter Parrot today?" And he'd reply with various things, like, "Stick it up your ass," or something worse. We never figured out why the parrot retained everything her former husband taught it, but nothing she said. OMG, this is my gray to a T. One afternoon he was asking, "Are you a good boy?" in my voice. He kept repeating it for a few minutes, then got real quiet, and then screamed, "Fuck no," in his voice. Thank God I was in the other room so he couldn't see me laughing. Lord knows I don't need to encourage him. Your story reminds me of the time I went to a zoo while on holiday in a different part of the country. There was an enclosure with a really energetic parrot and it began straight up mimicking me. Every time I'd say something it would parrot it back to me and laugh. Which would then cause me to laugh. Cue a surround sound of me and the bird laughing at each other for a good 30 minutes. I liked that bird. Birds bond really hard to a person. Once that bond is created, it's for life. If that man came around the bird today, it would be all happy and spouting all the things the previous owner taught it. Your mom's bond was not nearly as strong as the bond to her first husband. Source: have parrots as have my family. My dream is to teach a bird to repeat help. I've turned into a bird. This reminded me of my friend's dad's blue and gold macaw. He was a super friendly bird, kind of like a dog in a bird body. He would just randomly screech, "Shut the fuck up." I was not expecting it the first time I heard it and almost peed myself from laughing so hard. Apparently, his ex-wife hated the bird and would shout that at him whenever he was being too loud. He was a cool bird. I would have divorced anyone that was mean to him too. I volunteered at the local zoo and they had a scarlet macaw named Henry. Henry was awesome. But whenever he took a shower, got sprayed down, he'd just start yelling, "Robert! Robert!" at the top of his lungs in a very female voice. No clue who Robert was. He also would randomly say the name of his long-dead mate, Tusha. His roommate, Benny, the blue macaw, was a total asshole. But he met Henry and just decided, okay, we're going to be a gay couple and I'm the woman. He built a nest for the two of them and was just obsessed with Henry. Henry was very chill with it. Wow, holy shit balls. This blew up. Thank you for the silver, kind stranger. Glad you all enjoyed Henry, he was the shit. If a parrot likes your voice, it will remember what you said better. Longer would like to point out that to a parrot, loud noises such as yelling are very exciting and stimulating. It could just be that cuss words were more fun to copy.